All right, let's get right into it. This is probably one of the oldest debates in the gym, right? Should you be training for strength or should you be training for muscle size? Everyone's got a strong opinion, but what does the science actually tell us? So today, we're going to tear down some of those old myths and build a much smarter way to think about your training.
I'm willing to bet you have seen this exact chart or something very close to it about 1,000,000 times. It's the classic rep range Bible. 1 to 5 reps, that's your strength zone. 8 to 12, that's the magic hypertrophy window for size. And anything over 15, well, that's just for endurance. It's neat, it's tidy, and it's pretty much everywhere.
But come on, is that really how our bodies work? Do you think there's some kind of magic switch that your muscles flip the second you go from rep 7 to rep 8? The short answer, no way. This model is a massive oversimplification, and honestly, believing in it too strictly might actually be what's holding you back. So let's dig into the real science.
Okay, so first things first, we have to properly define what strength even is. And here's the key. It's not just about having big muscles. It is a highly specific skill that your body has to learn and practice. When we break it down, defining strength gets really interesting. Yeah, of course, muscle size is part of the equation. A bigger muscle has the potential to be a stronger muscle, but it is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. Things like your technique, how efficiently you can move a weight, and even the architecture of your muscles play a huge role. But the real secret ingredient, the X factor for pure strength, is something called neural drive. So what is neural drive? Think of it like this. Your brain is the CEO, and your muscles are all the employees. Neural drive is how good that CEO is at getting every single employee to show up to work on time and push in the exact same direction all at once. It's about total recruitment. And you train this skill, this brain-to-muscle connection, by lifting heavy weights with the absolute intent to move them as fast as possible. So workout design for pure strength, it feels different. The goal isn't to feel the burn or get a crazy pump. The goal is simply to move the most weight you can from point A to point B as efficiently as possible. That means you're living in those lower rep ranges, you're almost never going to absolute failure because that fries your nervous system, and your main way of making progress is just adding more weight to the bar. Simple as that. Okay, so that's the skill of strength. Now let's flip the coin and talk about the other side, the science of actually building bigger muscles, a process that we call hypertrophy. For decades, we thought getting bigger was all about creating muscle damage and chasing that pump. But what modern science tells us is that the #1 driver of muscle growth is mechanical tension. That's just the force your muscles have to generate to fight a weight. And the dose for that growth is your total effective volume, which is just the fancy way of saying the total number of hard sets you do, where hard means you're getting pretty close to failure. And here is where the game really changed. This is the part that blows a lot of people's minds. Study after study has now shown that as long as you take your sets close to failure, you can build basically the same amount of muscle, whether you're lifting heavy for 5 reps, moderate for 12, or even going super light for 20 or 30 reps. That old, narrow hypertrophy zone, it's actually a whole lot bigger than we ever thought. So what's the big takeaway here? It's this. That heavy, low rep work we just talked about for building strength, well, it's also a fantastic way to build muscle. It creates a ton of mechanical tension. This whole idea that you have to choose, am I getting strong today or am I getting big today? It's a false choice. Heavy lifting does both really, really well.
And that brings me to a fear I hear all the time, especially from people who are new to lifting weights. They worry, what if I lift heavy and get too bulky by accident? Well, as Dr. Peter Attia perfectly puts it, that's just not going to happen. Building a significant amount of muscle is hard, it takes a long time, and it has to be intentional. Trust me, you're not going to wake up one day by accident looking like a bodybuilder. Okay, so we've busted the myths, we understand the science a little better. Now for the practical part. How do we actually put this all together? How do we design a workout that lets us get stronger and bigger at the same time?
It really all comes down to your mindset and your intention on any given exercise. When you're in strength mode, your only thought is move this weight as efficiently and powerfully as possible. It's all about performance. But when you shift into hypertrophy mode, your focus changes. Now it's about creating tension in a specific muscle, really feeling it work, what people call that mind-muscle connection. One is about performance, the other is all about stimulus.
So here's a super simple, incredibly effective way to do this. It's a style of training called power building, and it's awesome. Here's the blueprint. 1. Start heavy. You begin your workout with a big compound lift. Think squats, deadlifts, bench press for a heavy top set in that 1 to 5 rep range. That's you practicing the skill of strength. 2. Add volume. After that heavy set, you drop the weight and do several more sets in a higher rep range, say 8 to 15, to get that muscle building volume. 3. Use accessories. You round out the workout with some isolation exercises to hit muscles that the big lifts might have missed. And 4, and this is crucial, manage recovery. You don't take those super heavy sets all the way to failure. That helps keep your nervous system from getting fried. It's literally the best of both worlds.
So great, you can get bigger and stronger in the gym. Fantastic. But why does any of this actually matter for your life, for your long-term health? This right here is the most important part of this entire conversation.
Look, as we get older, we all start to lose muscle mass. That's a fact of life called sarcopenia. But here's the really critical detail. We don't lose all our muscle fibers equally. We disproportionately lose our fast twitch fibers. And those are the explosive, powerful fibers that generate force really, really quickly. You train your slow twitch fibers just by walking around, but if you don't intentionally train those fast twitch ones, they just fade away.
And that leads us to this incredibly stark and powerful quote from Dr. Andy Galpin. The thing that often leads to a loss of independence later in life isn't a lack of endurance. It's falling down. It's the inability to catch yourself, leading to something like a broken hip, which, especially after 60, can be an absolutely life-altering event. And that's where power comes in. Power isn't just about how much force you can produce, it's about how quickly you can produce it. We're not talking about hitting a baseball here. We're talking about the explosive speed you need to shoot your foot out and catch your balance if you slip on a patch of ice. Power is what keeps you upright, safe, and independent. But here is the catch, and you have to remember this. Just like strength, power is a skill, and you absolutely cannot build it by accident. It will not happen. Going for a long, slow jog isn't going to do it. You have to practice moving fast and being explosive on purpose. So when we put all these pieces together, a truly complete program for health and longevity has to cover all the bases. It needs power work, like medicine ball throws or box jumps, to keep you quick and reactive. It needs heavy strength work to build that raw force and strong bones. It needs enough muscle mass to act as a metabolic and structural reserve. And it needs stability work like lunges to make sure you're solid and balanced on your feet. It's the whole package. So ultimately, it all boils down to this single question. Getting stronger and building muscle, these goals are so much bigger than just looking good or hitting a new personal record in the gym. They are the fundamental tools you use to build a more capable, more resilient, and more independent version of yourself, not just for today, but for every decade to come. The real goal isn't just to add years to your life, but to add life to your years.